exploring post-colonial novels in TV. I'm Elizabeth Haigh, and today we're talking to Sue Turnbull about Secret City. I'd never ever heard of it, but then it came up on my Netflix, and that's why I'd heard of it.
The Scandi Noir wave in Australia began on SBS. So there were dedicated spaces where you could find this kind of stuff. But now Netflix has kind of changed that game altogether again, because people are consciously searching out the material that takes them to a completely different landscape, a completely different city, a place. But what's interesting is when you get there, the people are actually going through the same emotional, the same problems, the same domestic, the same social, cultural issues that people are globally.
Actually, one of the things that was really interesting was how you talk about it as being part of the global noir. How do you pronounce it? Noir.
Noir.
What do you mean by global noir?
Well, noir has a very specific history. Film noir was a term that was introduced in the 1940s when French film critics were viewing a whole series of American films that had been produced in the 30s and 40s, which they hadn't seen till after the Second World War. And these were black and white films, very, very stylish, very, very dark in terms of theme, made from a whole series of American books that had been published in France in an edition called Séries Noires, which means black series. When they were watching these films, there were a couple of the French film critics actually wrote pieces talking about these films, and they'd said these are film noir. And that term then got picked up everywhere to describe a particular kind of genre of cinema that was black and white and dark and had very dark outlook, in the sense that it really, there's never a happy ending. These are not, conventional Hollywood films. It's a dark world. The society is screwed up and things are not going to turn out well. Over the years, and there's encyclopedias of film noir, there's neo-noir, there's post-noir, there's everything, and the term keeps being used. It keeps cropping up.
What is your biggest takeaway from the show? What did you think it was trying to say, if that makes sense? What was the point of it, I guess?
I thought it was quality television as it's defined in terms of a cinematic look. And I thought the way in which it was shot, the use of the color palette, the framing, interior design, from the moment I started watching it, I wanted to keep watching it because it looked fantastic. And then the way in which it focused on this very specific issue, which is the balance of power between Australia, America, and China, that intrigued me as well. Hadn't seen that represented on television that I could think of. So that was important. And I really liked Anna Torv's performance. I thought she was excellent. So I was into it. I was into the characters. I was into the look. I was into the show. And it made me see Canberra completely differently. I thought, I've not looked at Canberra properly. And Marion, who I was writing with, actually lived and worked in Canberra. So she was right from Canberra and knew Canberra intimately, knew the houses, knew the interiors. And she went, they've got Canberra. They've nailed it in terms of the modernist architecture, in terms of the look of Canberra. And I think that was what was so wonderful about it, was that Secret City enabled me to look at something that I've seen and that I've taken for granted and look at it completely with fresh eyes, and also to imagine how it might look to people watching in Denmark.
Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.